Everyone, this is Mo from the Mobile Marvel, and today we're going to be reviewing the Z Fold 7. And it looks like Samsung has finally delivered a foldable that can compete on the global stage with those Chinese competitors. Is this a device that is finally going mainstream? Is this now no longer just for early adopters and tech enthusiasts? It looks like it. Well, at least those who can afford a $2,000 price tag. Let's get into the review. Glance, the Z Fold 7 looks very similar to its predecessors. However, it's a lot slimmer and lighter, coming in at just 8.9 millimeters and 215 grams. That is the lightest fold that there is out there, book style foldable. And in all honesty, this is the first time where a foldable phone just feels like a normal phone. It's just, this is the year. If there's ever been a year for foldables, 2025, this is a year for book style foldables to go mainstream. This feels like a mainstream phone. This doesn't feel like an overweight or huge phone that nobody wants to even think about picking up. Just imagine, the original Fold was 17.1 millimeter and we're down to just 8.9. That's almost half. It's not just lighter than other foldables. It's lighter than the S25 Ultra. It's Samsung's flagship phone. It's also lighter than the iPhone 16 Pro Max, Apple's flagship phone. It's 13 grams lighter than Apple's flagship phone. And it's not just that. Because of its smaller form factor, it feels a lot smaller. And it's been a lot of fun, actually. It's been so easy, so light. But if you want a bigger screen, it's not a problem. You just pop it open and you have an 8-inch inner display. However, it's not all good stuff. There are some negatives. Last year, Samsung was the leader. They were leading this charge of ruggedness. They were IP48 rated last year, but they've made no improvements on that. A lot of the Chinese competitors, the Vivo and Honor, are now IP59 rated. How about that? Samsung needs to come back. And next year, we need to see at least, maybe even an IP68 rating at least. Talking about the display of this phone, it has a 6.5-inch outer screen, 120 Hz AMOLED, and the inner screen is an 8-inch 120 Hz AMOLED display, also with the 120 Hz refresh rate. Samsung has also massively improved the crease. The crease, you almost don't feel it now. It's this new thing that they're calling UTG, ultra thin glass. This is now on par with a lot of the Chinese competitors. It's no longer behind and on its own and struggling to keep up. Google better look out, because unless they've made massive improvements on their crease, the Samsung is gonna be way ahead against them. But they still have one issue, which is the screen is super duper glossy. A lot of the other companies, the Oppos, they have a lot better anti-reflective screen protectors on these out of the box, and Samsung doesn't offer that. It's the same glossy screen. In sunlight, it's difficult to see, even though it goes up to 2600 nits brightness, which is nowhere near the top of the pack, but it's a good, it's still pretty much up there. And yet the Samsung feels almost impossible to read in direct sunlight. But Samsung is known inside. Samsung has, when you're inside your house, Samsung probably has the best display that you can imagine, because Samsung is known to make some of the best displays out there. Powering the Z Fold 7 is a Snapdragon Elite 4 Galaxy. So it is a top of the line processor. You cannot get anything better than this. It's paired either with 12 GB of RAM or 16 GB on the top variant. So if you want the most amount of multitasking apps that you can throw on the screen, or you want to play in the top settings for every game, then probably look at the 16 GB if you can afford it, or those who can afford it, because it comes in at a steep price, the top. It's a 1 TB, 16 GB variant. It's a very high price for a foldable and much higher than most of its other competitors. Samsung is also the first global OEM to ship Android 16 out of the box, even ahead of Google themselves, which is interesting between Samsung and Google's partnership and shows how deep that partnership is. But this and the Flip 7 are the first ever phones to ship with Android 16. This comes with One UI 8 out of the box, which is a good change because One UI 7 was delayed by months. In terms of its multitasking capabilities, the Samsung, it's been the same and it's tried, true, and tested method, which is 3 locked-in grid apps and up to 7 floating windows on top. It is the standard. It is what everybody strives to be in some ways, but a lot of the other competitors, they have new, exciting ways. We know about the Oppos, which is the boundless view, which has 3 full-size apps. Well, Honor is now kind of doing the same thing with 3 full-size apps, and you can throw in some windows. Vivo themselves are also doing something cool. It's called the Atomic Workbench. Everybody has a new take on multitasking. Maybe it's time Samsung comes up with something else, because the Samsung option isn't my favorite. It's probably my second favorite, but it's not my favorite. I think the Oppo one is truly the best. But saying that, Samsung still has a really, really good and really solid multitasking option. However, when it comes to customizability, Samsung is king. You can have separate home screen. You can have a separate, when it comes to customizability, there is nothing better than One UI. And Samsung has got that nailed down, because you can have separate home screen for your cover display and your main display. That means you're not just repeating things. All the other competitors, heed note, why aren't you doing that? Still, where Samsung cannot be beat is its software polish and customizability. Therefore, Samsung is and has always been the king of Android when it comes to that. And those that want that customizability, there isn't really anywhere else you can go, because they're just the best at doing it. Samsung's foldable product, in its 7th generation now, feels very, very refined product out there. It truly is beautiful to look at, beautiful to hold, and it's great. And these color options are absolutely mind-blowing, how good they are. This blue is probably my favorite color in a long time for any phone. So when it comes to cameras, Samsung has also actually improved there. Finally, they're using the same 200 megapixel sensor that's in the S25 Ultra. They've also upgraded the ultra wide to 12 megapixel, and now it has autofocus and macro mode. Macro mode, honestly, is my favorite photography mode. I love taking macro shots, and thank God this device now has that. The third camera isn't upgraded from last year. It's a 10 megapixel 3x zoom camera. The shots are sharp, the processing is good and vibrant. Samsung is known for that. Samsung's AI when it comes to image manipulation is the top. They have the most features when it comes to, and the most stable. And that's not just for Android, that's including iOS. Samsung is the best at doing this. So this Z Fold 7 has that already locked in. Another new feature this year is audio eraser. So if you take a video, like the iPhone and like some other options, you can erase the audio. You can erase the background noises from that audio. So that's another cool add-on. Both the selfie cameras as well are quite impressive. They're both 10 megapixels and they are good. There's nothing wrong with them. Low light performance is also great, and you can shoot up to 8K, which is awesome. There's one place where Samsung has made no improvements. Well, one might say, with how thin this device is, that is an improvement of what they could even keep it at the same level, but that's the battery and charging speeds. The battery, for the 5th year running, is 4,400 milliamp lithium battery. No improvement. They are the furthest away from all their competitors. Everybody's ahead. And the rumors are the Google Pixel 10 Pro Fold, it's a mouthful always, that is gonna have a 5,000 milliamp battery. So Samsung, you really need to do better there. When it comes to charging speed, it's unchanged from last year. It's 25 watts wired, 15 watt wireless. There is reverse power share, but at a measly 4.5 watts. It's good enough for your buds, but that's about it. Don't expect your friend to be able to charge their device from your phone. It's not gonna go well for anybody. Let's hope next year Samsung comes out fighting when it comes to that battery, which they didn't do this year, and didn't do last year, and didn't do any of the other years before this. To achieve this absolutely mind-blowing the thinnest device, maybe, because we're not sure about what the Honor is. Is it thinner than this? Is it not? We don't know. But From the looks of it, this, in my hands at least, feels the lightest and thinnest device. So from that perspective, Samsung has made some sacrifices if you compare it to the Fold 6. For one, the speakers. Samsung had the best speakers last year on foldables, but this year, they're just right in the middle of that pack. I would say the Honor has better speakers. So that is something that has actually gotten worse. The other thing is no S Pen support. People were talking for years, are they gonna put the S Pen inside the Fold? Well, guess what? They completely removed it. Last year we had all this marketing material about the Z Fold 6, that it will have, you know, it's the most productive device that you can buy because the S Pen is so important for productivity. Well, guess what? This year it's gone. We don't even talk about it anymore. It's completely gone. That's not it. There's other things as well. This is actually a pretty hard, I mean, right now you can see it's opening really nicely, but it's actually a really hard device to unfold. Why is that? Well, because how thin it is, and it doesn't have anywhere for you to grab your hands. Because it's so square. Samsung is known for making very square devices, and that is a problem to unfold a device. Lastly, the under display camera. Some people loved it, some people despised it. They preferred a better camera instead of that 4 megapixel under display camera. I'm kind of neutral on the topic, but I've seen a lot of Redditors complain about no under display camera. They miss that seamless display. I get that, but to me, it didn't really matter which way. I'm open to both in that sense. And the final thing, and for me, this is something that's actually very personal and very important. I love just having my device on the side, doing something else, maybe have my laptop and using my phone. Well, guess what? This is the worst phone I have ever used when it comes to using it on a desk like this. It is the absolute worst, probably ever. I'm not sure about that, but from every phone I have ever used, this is the worst. Samsung, you need to improve this as well. So, what are my final thoughts on this device? If you're very integrated with Samsung products, this is a great device. This is the first time you can cross shop between an S25 Ultra and this device, because it's just that good. It's more mainstream, and that's exactly what I said at the start of the review. This is a mainstream option from Samsung. Finally, it's no longer for enthusiasts. It's for everybody. Everybody that can afford the $2,000 price tag. And Samsung is also the leader when it comes to AI. When it comes to AI, they're the best. There isn't anybody that's even close in my book, but Galaxy AI is way ahead. Who's this device not for? This device isn't for somebody that has very long days, because if you need 8, 9, 10 hours of on-screen time, this is not gonna cut it. I've been getting about 6 and probably a bit under 6 from 100 to a 0. And sometimes this still needs juice. At the end of the day, about 8 p.m. at dinner time, I need to top this phone up. So that's a big problem. And it doesn't top up fast either. It takes really long. It takes over about an hour and a half to charge this device from 0 to 100, which is a very long time in 2025. So this was my Z Fold 7 in-depth review. Do let me know if you're planning to pick up this phone or any of the other book-style foldables. Do mention in the comment below. Like, subscribe, and this is Mo checking out. And please check out themobilemarvel.com. We have all the other foldables that were mentioned in this review, like the Vivo, like the Honor, like the Oppo, and even in the 7's case, we have the dual physical version on our site.